Christmas lox and bagels in my apartment next to a Chinese-made plastic tree that we decorated.
And Russian choir music
For Christmas,
for Christmas.
it being Christmas Day.
It's Christmas Day, and we are eating. We wanted lox and bagels and champagne because that's the tradition with Keith's family. But unfortunately, we could not find bagels and we could not find capers. So we're eating white bread from the bakery with cream cheese and lox, which will suffice. And we did find some champagne. So,
And thinly sliced red onion.
and a thinly sliced red onion. Yes, yeah, it is true. Gosh, I had something I was going to say because I've been drinking champagne and now I feel like blabbing on. But
Something about traveling through life or
oh,
something?
yes. I was saying, okay, because I had this thought come to me. I was like, there is something about. Oh, wait, it's a commercial. Stop it. Ew. Now I'm totally getting interrupted in my train of thought.
Something cool about what? Life?
Yeah, I was thinking about okay, living in a foreign country, like actually living there for a year or a good amount of time and working there, and you're really like, you kind of sink deeply into the culture, more so than if you're just traveling and passing by. And at times, in fact, many times, it's rather frustrating. And there's many things that we lack here. And at times it really makes me kind of sad or depressed or mad.
What kind of things do you lack?
I don't know, like
Ovens?
pretty things and ovens and I don't know, like beautiful nature and friends and family and stores that you like going to. I don't know, some of it's very superficial, but just beauty. This Daegu is not very beautiful in the traditional sense, and it makes me kind of sad sometimes. Yeah. But on the flip side, I was thinking about how there's something really, what's the word? Fulfilling, yes. Meaningful, yes. Eye-opening. What am I trying to say?
About living without those things?
Yeah, well, I don't know, living in a different culture for an entire year. And there's something about it.
It's kind of a challenge.
It's a challenge, but it actually, in the end, it's worth it. Like going through it, it kind of sucks a lot of times.
Perspective is the spice of life.
Perspective. It gives you perspective, and it gives you a depth, and you see into life and the world and humanity and people and the planet. You just see into it more deeply.
Well, what did you see today?
Well, today we went out to go find this freaking lox, right? And we're headed to Latte Mart, which is the equivalent of, I don't know, Walmart or something, but nicer. I don't know.
It's halfway between a department store and a Walmart.
Yeah. And we got on the bus, which is only our, I don't know, second or third time on the bus. And we got off maybe a little further than we'd planned. So we were kind of meandering through these back alleyways in this old neighborhood that was surrounded by high-rise buildings that are 35 stories high. Look like beehives. And so we got kind of lost. And then eventually we happened upon this open air shopping center, which was kind of gentrified looking, but my eyes kind of lit up because ooh, it's pretty, nice things. Yes, maybe it's gentrified, but I've been missing this because Daegu is so full of machine shops and grit. And so my eyes kind of lit up. The tourist in me was luxuries. But when we were there, we were walking around, and then all of a sudden we heard a drumming sound. And I was like, ooh, what's that? So we headed towards the drumming sound, and it just so happened that it was this traditional dance troupe, and they were dressed in red and green, and they were coming into the center of this whole complex with flags and drums and gongs and just colorful clothing. And it was all ages. There were old people and young people, and they were all part of this dance troupe. And I was just fascinated because it was everything I love. It was communal dance, and you can tell it was from the past. It was something that was being preserved by this group of people. And so usually this kind of thing, I would just kind of take a few pictures and head on. But for some reason today, it really captured me because I wasn't expecting it, you know? You know, Bob?
Yeah. Another
Yeah.
irony about it is that the big plaza that we were in with the shopping center,
Yeah.
it had a big, uh, what looked like a chimney or a smokestack in
Oh,
the middle, made
yeah.
of cement.
Which is
And it was a
strange.
monument to their old textile factories.
Uh-huh.
And it was like, we're going to keep this chimney here, this massive concrete smokestack, in the middle of this park to remind future generations of what Daegu went through during its industrialization in the 60s and 70s.
Yeah,
So there was a monument to the past of industrialization, and then there's this folk music that was like a living monument to Korea's pre-industrial history.
yeah, and that's the part of Korea that's cool. Like a part of me doesn't like Korea because I don't like the modern Korea. I don't like these block buildings and like everybody shops like they're dressing from a mall catalog. I'm sorry, dresses like they're shopping from a mall catalog. You know, like I don't like what Korea has become. There's a lot of the culture that just really bothers me. But this older stuff is cool. So cool. So anyhow, so like I decided so the dance troupe they headed to like the main center and they started going into this dance ritual and they were doing the drums and they were dancing and turning and doing flips and it was just it totally got me it started bringing me into this trance state because they just kept beating those drums. There was a rhythm, you know, Bob.
And dancing. They were doing like
Yeah,
kicks in the air and such.
yeah, and like for the most part I feel like Koreans are very reserved and they don't really show their emotions very easily and they're very proper, you know. And but for some reason like when they were in this mode of dance and performance they were able to smile more and express themselves more and I just loved it. And so I was sitting there, I was taking video, but I was also just completely in awe and just like I felt like every bone and fiber of my being was just soaking this in. I would just loved it, absolutely loved it. And I think today is a changing point, turning point in Korea because suddenly I'm like, you know what? This is what it's about. My time here is about this, the old Korea. Like this is what's going to draw me in, and this is what I want to start exploring and researching more and searching out. You know,
A Christmas miracle.
it's a Christmas miracle. It's a Christmas miracle. Like, and I told Keith after this, I was like, you know what? This just made Christmas. I don't care what happens with the rest of our Christmas. This just free gift out of the freaking blue that we didn't plan for just made my day. In fact, not only did it make my day, I will always remember Christmas 2018 in Daegu, Korea because of this dance troupe. A beautiful, amazing
And
experience.
she didn't just see it.
No.
You were in the middle of it. They formed a
Well,
circle around you, right?
yeah, I was watching it, and then at the end, they started inviting people up, and I was like, no, no, like, no, no, this is embarrassing, you know? But then this older lady came up to me, and she was like, no, no, come, come, and I didn't want to let her down. So I was really embarrassed, but I was like, okay, fine, I'm just gonna go. And then I gotta say, like, being in the center of this whole experience and having the drums around me and these people circling around me, I felt like even more in and like the drums I was like getting even more into this like trance kind of state and I could just it was so powerful. And then one of the old ladies came over and let me um, drum on the drum and she gave me the stick and she was showing me the rhythm, you know, and I was drumming and I loved it. I loved it. It was just a beautiful experience. So now I want to seek these people. I want to seek this group out or people like them and I want to find out more, you know. And the thing also about Korea is I've heard that a lot of the shamanistic, I don't know, the past, a lot of the shamans, a lot of it's the women are the ones who are the shamans, not the men
To this
really.
day.
To this day. And then Jeju Island, they have all these divers, these who are all women, and these women dive. What do they dive for?
I think like shellfish.
Shellfish. Yeah, and they're women who do the diving. And it's just free diving. Like they're out there in a scuba suit and that's it, you know? And there's ladies that are like 80 years old and they're still diving. They've been diving for decades. So,
I don't think it's a scuba suit. I think they're snorkelers.
oh, just snorkels. Yeah.
Like, they go deep.
They go deep and it's just snorkels. They don't have scuba tanks or anything.
All women.
So there's something here about the matriarchy and the women, and I think there's something special about it in Korea, and maybe they've lost it a bit because I feel like the women nowadays, the younger generations are really caught up in the consumerism and like the K-pop groups, and they have to go get the plastic surgery and get their eyelids fixed and their noses fixed, and put whitening cream on their skin. But I think like the old Korea, there's something there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyhow, I'm gonna eat some of this lox. It's really good. So that's what I wanted to share. I had a few sips of champagne. It doesn't take much with me, and then these ideas started coming forth.
The dance was called a Flying Mountain Drum Dance. It's unique to Daegu. They've got their own specific regional rhythm that they use, and typically used in ancestor veneration rituals.
Ah.
Yeah.
It was so cool. So are there like... So this was just one form of the dance?
Yeah, all the dances have a shamanic root, or almost all of them have roots in Korean shamanism. But depending who's in charge, whether it's the Joseon Confucian era, which started in the 14th century, or before that when Buddhism was more prominent, those dances were used to... Originally, it was during the Buddhist era, they were used to spread Buddhism through these dances. So Buddhism kind of co-opted them and put a Buddhist ideological twist on them. And then the Confucians did the same thing with, ancestor veneration and filial piety. And celebration of your ancestors and your parents and all that.
What were you saying about the Indian dances or something?
Yeah.
That was cool.
In China, most of those folk dances were stamped out. Like they disappeared over time. But in China, or in Korea, their lineage goes so far back that some of the dances are almost carbon copies of the original Buddhist dances that were done in India before
in India?
Yeah, in India before it went through China to get to Korea. So it's so untouched and
wow.
original. So there's a lot of variety. And those dances are used for all kinds of things. Ancestor worship, it could be done to pray for peace. It can be done to channel the gods, channel ancestors. It can be done for as work songs on farms, and kind of a village tradition to kind of make people more peppy for work and to make them more efficient.
Yeah, imagine that would help.
It's a mountainous country, so there's all kinds of regional variations between these isolated communities.
But the thing I was thinking about is that, like, I love dance and I love this communal aspect of it. But like in today's world, it's hard to have that because people are living in cities, they're moving all the time, they're disconnected. So it's hard to have like a true community dance. Because like, what are you going to do in suburbia, get together in your cultural center? Or, it's just not the same.
Nope.
And so maybe in yoga studios, we'll have ecstatic dances or we come together in other ways. But I can't imagine that it has the depth and the weight that it would have if you lived in a community together with people your whole lives. And, if there's like no profit motive, it's just pure dance and it's pure bringing the community together just for no other reason than expression and building solidarity.
And there's lots of reasons why they have
Lots of reasons, yeah. I don't know, rain dances, I mean...
Yeah, I don't know what the solution to that... I can kind of... One thing I noticed, though, is with city planning...
Yeah.
And whether people are living in houses or apartments or alone, you can kind of tell how densely woven the social fabric of a place is based on how the buildings they live and the neighborhoods they live in, how they look. And you can kind of tell with these giant high-rise apartments, there's not a lot of nearly as much community as this more like working class area that we're living in.
I know, I imagine.
Same people see each other and at different shops, and they go to a lot of people go to the same churches. This isn't the most churchy part of Korea. This is kind of there's a lot of Buddhism here, and a lot of shamanism. You can see the little shaman shops where you can get fortune telling and rituals performed for you.
But it's crazy because like the neighborhood we live in is very gritty, and it's very like all the buildings are short and the streets are not wide. They're narrow. And so it feels very compact, and you can tell that people have lived here for decades, and there's lots of older people in the streets and people who have their little, grocery store shops that they've had for decades. And they're the older generation. But then today, when we're at Latte Mart, which is by the like all the sky-rise apartment buildings that look like beehives, like a lot of the younger people are moving into those. And so I imagine like they lose the community, because if you're living 30 stories up in a building, you're taking the elevator every day to go home. That's different than just walking next door and passing your neighbor's door to get to your own little abode, Yep. And like in our neighborhood, it's so vibrant because there's all these little restaurants everywhere and little mom and pop stores. But when you live in one of these beehive apartment buildings, you're kind of cut off. It's like you go through the security gate or you drive your car into the basement and then you're, up the elevator to your house. Yep. So I imagine that's really starting to break up the community fabric.
Yep.
Yeah.
But government has done some good work trying to promote traditional Korean folk practices.
Yeah.
And there's been a series of scandals with the Protestant churches, so they're starting to get kind of unfashionable a little bit to be associated with. And shamanism is kind of taking on a different type of flavor than it used to. Some of the rituals are the same or modifications of earlier rituals, but rather than being village based, it's more individual based, because those are the people who want to get rituals done for them, or people who are maybe there's a marriage problem or a business problem or anxiety about something, and they'll consult shamans to do rituals for them and to channel the spirits to give them advice and things like that. But
But remember the first time we were here? Okay, this isn't really shamanic, but the first time we were in Korea, like, I don't know, more than 10 years ago, they had this strange, I'll call it a ritual, or happening, whereas if somebody opened up a new business, they would hire go-go dancers to dance outside.
And there'd be a big wreath.
And there'd be a big wreath and flowers and these go-go dancers, ribbons, and these young girls would stand out there in this like really slinky clothing with like huge go-go boots on, and they would just dance all day, and they'd be hired to do that. And I thought it was the strangest thing, because they would be dancing outside in front of like a dishwasher store that opened up, or like I don't know, like a machine shop, and they would hire these go-go dancers, which is weird because the girls in Korea like are a little more conservative on the most part. But it was totally okay to hire these girls in go-go dance costumes to dance in front of their stores. It's just weird. But which kind of goes along with the whole love motel things and how people like, on the outside everything's okay, but then they're having affairs and going to love motels with who knows who. Mm-hmm. And, young people live with their parents till such an older age that it's like they just go to the love motels to, get their thing on. Uh-huh. But I'm getting off topic of the shamans, but...
Yeah. There is like a ritual involved with that. We haven't seen any go-go girls at all.
I guess it's like a thing of the past now.
I do see the wreaths. Like the wreaths with the ribbons on them and everything.
Well, they put the flowers out, but they don't have the go-go girls.
Yeah. Weird.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, unless that was just a more of something that happened in that part of Korea and it just doesn't happen in Daegu.
I don't know.
But I don't know. It's probably just a thing of the past.
I feel like maybe it was a fad.
Like a fad.
And they just kind of thought it looked stupid or something like that.
Yeah.
They stopped doing it.
I mean, it'd be cool to get paid to dance all day, but I mean, I wouldn't want to be paid to just dance for a dishwasher store.
Yeah. One thing about Korea is that apparently the girls don't get, the cold doesn't seem to bother them as much as in the United States, because I see girls in mini skirts in the middle of the winter. And these go-go girls were, skimpy, dancing like when it's pretty fucking cold out.
I mean, that's not the majority, but I do notice that too. I'm like, what girls? You need to put some clothes on. Goodness.
They're tough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. So when we're talking right now, I'm noticing on YouTube there's a commercial of a lady, a Korean woman. She's talking about facial products, to keep her skin so beautiful. And I will say, these women have some beautiful, beautiful skin here. But they take so much care of it. They really do. And then strangely, they'll put all this makeup on top of their beautiful skin, which I don't understand. They have such beautiful skin, they don't need any makeup. But they want to, I don't know, they cake it with foundation to make it whiter, but their skin is so beautiful, they don't need any makeup.
Yeah. Weird.
It's weird. Anyhow, back to shamans.
Shamans.
Dancing and stuff.
Shamans are cool.
Yeah.
Our coworker knows a shaman.
Oh, yeah.
Her grandfather was of that tradition, and he was what they call an animist. So when he died, he got his ashes cremated onto a forest. So to honor him, you have to protect the forest. Mm-hmm. So there's like an ecological component. Korea is famous for mountain spirits, and the Buddhists will have, even they will have elements of, mountain spirits, mountain gods in their practices. So there's kind of a blending of animism and Buddhism, because the Buddhists were cast out of the city when the Confucians took over. All their shit was confiscated and turned into like Confucian shrines, Confucian buildings, Confucian estates. And the Buddhists were kicked out to the hills. That's why Korea doesn't have any Buddhist temples in the cities. I mean, there's some, but not the old beautiful ones like you see in downtown Bangkok and places outside of Korea that are Buddhist. But here there was a weird blending of Buddhism and the mountain forested countryside that you don't get elsewhere. So, yeah.
Well, some of my favorite memories from the first time in Korea are going on those hikes in the mountains, and then we'd be hiking, we'd come across these shrines just out in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
I love that. And there would be like these old kimchi pots and like little, not tea houses, but little abodes just out in the middle of nowhere. This time around, though, in Daegu, I haven't really found the same kind of hiking spots. The city's too big.
Yeah, we're right in the heart of it.
We're right in the heart of it, and this is what, the third largest city?
Third.
Yeah, and Anyang was more of a suburb, so it was really easy to get into the mountains, whereas here, not so much.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm really missing nature. But that was one of my, I loved looking at the different shrines. Yeah.
I love how people would share food when we went hiking.
I know.
It's like all the weird hierarchies of the daily grind just disappeared when people went out to the mountains, and they would give us apples and things like that.
But I feel like that's how it is whenever Koreans come around food together. Like we can be at work and suddenly we're sharing pizza and everybody's just chill. They chill out, and it's like the social dynamic changes when you're around food. And then when the food is done, then it's back to the like hierarchies. I don't know.
I mean,
maybe that's too general.
There is an age hierarchy.
Yeah, you're right.
About who
you have to pour.
Who,
the younger person pours for the older.
Yeah.
But just the general vibe does shift.
We're kind of exempt because we're foreigners, and it's understood that their customs don't fully apply to us.
Yeah. I think I might have to get another lox piece of bread. It's not really a lox bagel. It's a lox bread slice.
You want to grab it for you?
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
I guess so. So, well, I don't know if I have anything else to say, but
Yeah. So you had a big shamanistic inspired folk dance swarm around you.
Yeah.
On Christmas Day.
It was
in the middle of a monument
amazing.
to industrialization. And remember, there's the statue of the founder of Samsung.
Can you believe Samsung started here in freaking Daegu?
Yeah.
God. I mean, an international company. Everybody knows the name Samsung.
It's like over 100 years ago.
And who would think, like, who would come from Daegu? Daegu just seems like a freaking... I don't know. It's just... I know it's a big city, but it just seems like a big machine shop is what it reminds me of. There's a lot of pollution, and it's very gritty.
It was on the railroad line between Busan and Seoul. Busan, for those who don't know, is on the coast in the south, on the southeast tip of the Korean peninsula, and Seoul is in the middle kind of near the coast on the Han River in the middle of Korea, actually the northwest of South Korea. So when the old dictator back in the 60s and 70s was rapidly industrializing the place, he chose Daegu as one of his, or the parts around Daegu where he's from, as one of the places that they were going to prioritize industrialization. So there's a tradition here for technological progress with all of its grime and filth. But it's known for apples and textiles.
Yeah, but then remember our coworker was like, yeah, the apples you're eating here aren't actually from Daegu because...
She blamed it on climate change.
Yeah.
Which might be true, but...
the apples here are really good, so it's hard for me to believe because I think they have really good apples. So where are they getting them from?
I don't know.
They're called like the Apple City. So how are they not their apples?
I don't know. I think maybe...
I don't know if I believe that.
Industrialization...
Yeah.
Industrialization made it probably more profitable to have
just bring in
factories
apples
and stuff rather than keeping their apple.
How about them apples?
How about them? Ha ha ha. Yeah.
Wah, wah.
Get rid of their orchards and replace them with sweatshops. Yeah. And
well,
yeah. And now the textiles, they're kind of going out of style. Now it's more of a financial center, but the old industrial architecture of cement blocks and grimy shit everywhere remains. Although they cleaned up their streams, like the river, the Gumho River that we lived next to, was one of probably the most polluted river in Korea. But then about 15 years ago, they did a big cleanup, and now it's one of the most pleasant places to walk.
Apparently, you can go all the way to Busan on that walkway.
Wow.
You can rent a bicycle and bicycle your little feet all the way there. Yeah. Well, Keith is making me another lox flatbread, I'll call it. And I'm sitting on the radiant heated floor. How do you say that?
The system is called radiant floor heating. So there's pipes that generate heat under the floor, which is covered in like a fake wood linoleum.
Yeah, so it's keeping my booty very toasty, which feels very good.
Yeah. And it's more energy efficient, and it's great if you like to take off your shoes in your apartment.
So good. Or if you just lay down on it, oh my god, it feels so good. Just lay on it. Oh man. But I'm sitting in a Santa hat, just so you can picture the scene here. I'm sitting in a Santa hat, and I have a garland of red floofy stuff wrapped around my neck. And I'm drinking champagne.
It's hard to cut.
And Keith is sitting on a stool, and we're eating actually off of a stool. So it's very simple, a very simple,
There's a
simple
cutting
Christmas.
board balanced.
Yeah, we're eating off of a cutting board that's balanced on the stool.
In my room.
Yeah, in his room.
Next to a Chinese
and he has a
$5
Chinese plastic Christmas tree, which is actually really cute. And we have $3 light starlights, which are probably basically from China. But it adds to the festive Christmas spirit. I can't complain.
Yeah.
Simple is not a bad thing.
Nope.
It's
pretty.
Even just $10 of decorations completely changes the energy of this place. Mm-hmm. And then we're still listening to very kind of dour Russian choir music. Solemn. That's the better word, yes. Solemn. Yeah. Oh, another commercial.
Yeah, so you got more Korea insight for me?
I don't know. I think today is a turning point, like I said.
Are you going to change your behavior in any way?
Maybe, because I think now, I've been fighting Korea. Well, especially Daegu. I've been fighting Daegu because it's just so gritty. And I'm just tired of gritty. I want beautiful blue beaches, and I want to be in Tulum, and I don't know. I want to go to, what was the place you're talking about? Tahiti. And this is as far as the opposite of Tahiti as you can get, Mm-hmm. So I've been kind of resisting Daegu, and But today is a turning point, and because of that, I think I will finally learn the Korean alphabet. And I will probably...
It'll take you 20 minutes.
I know, but I've been putting it off because I've been resisting. Ugh. But I think I will now learn the Korean alphabet, and I will start learning Korean with that app that you were telling me about.
Yeah.
Yeah, that app.
Duolingo.
And because my thought process is like, oh, but I want to meet those ladies who are in the dance troupe, you know? Like, I want to talk to them, so I want to at least know how to, like, say a few phrases.
Well.
Whereas before, I just didn't care. Which is horrible to say, living in a place and just not caring.
Yeah.
I know.
A little...
I know. The things that I am revealing. I have many things, obviously, that...
Just tune it out until the end of your contract.
I know.
Man.
I mean, that's kind of been how I've been operating. Like, I didn't think I was going to. I thought, okay, it's our second time in Korea. This time I'm really going to get into it and we're going to travel, you know, and like see all these places. But then the sad fact is I'm so freaking tired. After we're done teaching the kids all week, I am exhausted. And when the weekend comes, all I want to do is lay in bed all day and read. You know, maybe go on a walk. I'm just so tired. I don't even have the energy to do all the things I really want to do.
Well, maybe you can read about Korea.
Well, so I'm going to start reading about these dances. I'm going to read more about Korea and the shaman women, you know?
Maybe the dances and their evolution through history could be like kind of the spine uniting your understanding of Korean history and culture.
That's exactly what I would have to do. Otherwise, it would just go in my eyes and out my brain. I don't know. It would go in one ear and out the other. Yeah. I'd have to have a focal point around dance or the arts or... Yeah.
Does the natural world interest you at all?
Yeah. It does.
What part?
The natural world...
Yeah.
Well, that's a good question. What part?
Does the ocean interest you?
Yeah, the water.
Water. Yeah. For those who don't know,
I think it's way too many.
To the east of
Korea. Way too many onions.
Way too many?
Yeah, it's way too many onions.
Okay.
Yeah, like take off half of those onions. That's way too many onions.
I love onions, man.
I know, but like I like a little peppering of onions, not...
Okay.
I don't want it to be submerged.
Okay.
I mean, I appreciate all the
Korea,
cutting. I wasn't paying attention. Yeah.
Is to say okay.
Okay. I know they do say that.
They say that. They never said that.
No, it's like a thing they picked up from Americans or something. I don't know.
It's easy to say, and it
okay. Yeah. Okay. Okay, so now but bring over that lox.
Just a minute.
Put the lox on our toast. Well, it's not toast, on our flatbread. Well, it's not even really flatbread. It's just white bread. It's like white bread, but it's actually made in a bakery. So it's better than
it's
like...
not Wonder Bread.
It's not Wonder Bread, yeah. It looks like Wonder Bread, but it's actually like freshly made. So it's what Wonder Bread wants to be, basically.
So to the east of Korea is what they call the East Sea. And most of the world recognizes it as the Sea of Japan. And this sea there's only 4 or 5 entry points to this sea. And so, like the Mediterranean, it doesn't really have tides. It's like a really weird sea. And because of its unique features, its water is more oxygenized than other waters. Than other parts of the oceans, and it's extremely productive for seafood. It's like extremely productive.
It doesn't have tides?
Not really, no.
Wow.
No, just tiny ones. But on the west side of Korea, the Yellow Sea, which connects to China, does have tides, but it's a lot more shallow. So you get these mud flats. Where you get mud skippers and lots of shellfish and things like that. And it's a incredibly important migratory pathway for birds.
Oh, because of all the shellfish.
All the shellfish.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so the Yellow Sea is a unique ecosystem that's just been ravaged by China. But they're starting to do things to protect it.
Mm-hmm.
And the west coast of Korea, in the south where we live, is actually, there's some really cool preserved areas for birds and little ecological centers and things like that. The east side is cool too, but North Korea, the regime wants to, line its pockets any way it can, so it sells leases to Chinese companies to just strip the sea in North Korean territorial waters.
Really?
Strip it clean with
Ooh.
nets that go all the way down to the ocean floor. Like it's. Yeah,
There's no like sustainability or anything.
No,
it's just like,
it's just
here,
like
give us money and
like
take what you want.
Extractive mining.
Oh my gosh.
So the North Korean fishermen who don't get to participate in this they're being pushed out by Chinese fishing companies. That and they get in fist fights and not strike, but I mean like protest these Chinese intruders that are pushing out the smaller, actual Korean-run companies. So it is a very interesting part of the world.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah,
it's very interesting.
Yeah.
In fact, so interesting I sometimes don't like to think about it.
Explain.
I don't like to think about nuclear bombs pointed our direction within a few miles. Rather not think about that. Yeah, it makes me very uncomfortable. I just tune that out, which probably most people in Korea do on a regular basis, just tune that out.
Of course.
I remember that one night we heard that really loud explosion. Series. And really my heart, like my stomach sank and I was like, oh shit.
Here we go.
This is it. They've invaded, And we ran upstairs to the roof and we were like trying to look around to see like what was happening. And I was waiting for sirens to go off or something and I was checking the news to see like have they invaded or something. And thankfully they just quit. We never knew what it was, but that really did feel quite scary.
Mm-hmm. There was a spotlight in the distance, too.
Yeah, there was a spotlight, which we'd never seen, so I don't know what that was about. Maybe it was some sort of military exercises or something.
Maybe.
But after seeing some documentaries about North Korea and how much the North Koreans are brainwashed, especially towards Americans, like, they hate Americans.
Yep.
And obviously nobody wants to be in war. Mm-hmm. But I did, the thought did cross my mind, like, wow, if we were here and the shit really went down, like, they would not hold back on Americans whatsoever.
During their big famine in the 90s, defectors to the South, they said, everyone wants to go to war with the South right now because that's where the food is. Like, they're just eager to invade and snatch up some bags of rice. Rice is a luxury in the North. Most people don't get to eat it.
Wow, and I don't even like to finish my rice here. I can't even eat all the rice that they give us when we...
Imagine what they think of
I
you.
know, but I can't eat all that rice.
Yeah.
I try to eat it, but I eat like half a bowl, and I can't.
Yeah. Well.
But anyhow, I don't really like to think about North Korea too much while we're here. I just kind of keep my fingers crossed.
I believe it's the third largest stockpile of... The third largest chemical weapons arsenal in the world.
Well, and it's not like the leader seems that sane,
No, he knows what he's in the driver's seat.
Yeah.
He's jerking around Trump. He's jerking around the South Korean president.
Yeah, but he killed his uncle or something.
Yeah, he's a gangster.
I don't know.
He's a gangster. He's not unpredictable.
I mean, he's very interesting to watch. He's such a cartoon character, the way he looks. But
he gives way more speeches than his dad did.
Really?
The crazy movie guy.
Yeah.
Kim Jong-il.
And he's got such a unique look, I must say.
Yeah. With
his hairdo, and it's kind of portly build and like...
Yeah. Portly Korean dude. With a butthead haircut.
And a limp. Or at one point, didn't he have a limp?
Yeah, he had gout.
He had gout?
Yeah.
How old is he? He's not that old.
It's from eating rich food. A lot of, like...
So everybody's starving, and he's just like...
Yeah, he's
like 3 Koreans in one.
Eating rich food. And his grandpa, the founder of North Korea, had the same thing.
Really?
Yeah. He had gout. Walk around with a cane.
Gosh.
Did not like to have it photographed, but sometimes he slips up.
Yeah.
So Kim Jong-un.
I mean, it's just crazy to think on the other side of that line. What is it called? The DMZ?
The demilitarized zone.
The demilitarized zone, which we saw 10 years ago when we were here the first time. Like, on the other side of that line is a whole different world.
It's a horror show.
I mean, those videos that I see on YouTube of those parades are just insane.
And that's if you're lucky.
And that's if you're lucky. And then
in the nice cities.
And they train like the little kids how to be perfect gymnasts. And like these kids train for hours a day and they're like perfect. They're really good at what they do. But like, imagine.
There's a lot of injuries.
There's a lot of injuries. And imagine like you have no say. You're not choosing to do it by your own free will. Yeah. Like you're commanded to do that.
Just remember that in the North, I mean, based on all the evidence of the refugees, they actually, a lot of them really do love the regime. They love the founder, and they're like, there really is a lot of joy and pride in what they do, and they're, call it brainwashing,
right.
But
maybe
they're
it's
not
brainwashing,
secretly waiting to be liberated. Yeah. They're like,
maybe it gives them that sense of community. Everybody's on the same page. Yeah. Imagine everybody believing the same thing.
I do not think they have the same suicide rate that South Korea does.
Right. Well, in the North might just die because they actually don't have food, but they don't. But like here, it's like they're killing themselves on purpose because of stress and this crazy test system the kids go through.
Test system and the emptiness of consumerism.
Yeah,
in the North, everyone gets to participate in this crazy mission to reunite the homeland against the South.
And I could see that could bring people together. Like you're on the same mission, and you all believe the same thing.
Yeah.
I mean, I honestly know so little about North Korea, and I probably should learn more. I know you know way more, but so anything I'm saying is like so generalized, but yeah.
But they hear stories about how they do things like share food more frequently in the North. Like apartment blocks that have no electricity, that kind of thing. They have to, I think the water doesn't go up to the higher floors, so they have to go down and bring it up, and people will just share more because they have to. And
that does bring people together.
It does.
You don't have as many barriers up. You have to like depend on each other.
I remember when we would have windstorms outside of Seattle growing up. A giant tree fell on my neighbor's house and smashed like all the way down to the bottom.
Was everybody okay?
Yeah. Okay. They weren't in the room at the time.
Thank goodness.
But when the power went out, because there's branches everywhere knocking down old electrical lines, we would have to sleep downstairs with like a lantern and all that. And I was like, all right, we gotta sleep in the same room next to the fire, and we gotta have lanterns and listen to.
That sounds fun, though.
And to me, I was like, it was kind of.
It sounds exciting.
It was kind of fun, especially for a kid. And whenever the power went back on later, I would always get this sinking feeling, like, God damn it, electricity. I guess I can watch TV again, but. It felt so much better just not having those luxuries. No. And like, I think in North Korea it's the same, kind of the same thing. Like, there's a warmth in group survival.
Yes.
You know? But what do I know?
Well, it reminds me of that time the tree fell in our apartment building.
Oh, yeah.
In Spokane, remember?
Yeah.
And we had no electricity and no lighting for like a week. And it was cold. It was so cold.
That genuinely sucked. I mean,
it sucked. But there was also something about it that was like very... There was a warmth to it, even though it sucked, because you had to like gather together and huddle together under your sleeping blanket and like light a candle, you know? It really sucks. And you couldn't take a shower because it was too cold.
I would have to go to the YMCA.
Where do we go to the gym? We went to the gym, take showers,
before work.
Yes, and you were still working, and we had like schedules we had to adhere to.
Damn it.
It sucked at the time, but there was also something about it. Yeah.
Got to admit, it added a certain texture to my life.
Didn't it? I know.
Yeah.
Yeah. But the difference between the North Koreans and us is like for us it was a week, for them it's life.
It's more than one life.
Yeah. And I would not wish that.
Nope.
Upon anybody.
Nope.
Yeah.
Well,
so, anyhow. But do you want some more of this lox?
You can't finish it?
I might have a few more bites, but it's pretty rich.
All right.
You're welcome to share it with me.
All right. Should we conclude this?
Yeah, I think so.
All right.
Christmas, yeah.
All right. Christmas Day. What time is it? It is 6:57 p.m. We got to go to work tomorrow after Christmas Day. And, yeah.
It's a Tuesday.
It's a Tuesday.
Yeah. We worked Monday, we have Tuesday off, and then back to work Wednesday. And here's our Russian music again.
Yeah.
Merry Christmas, everybody.
Merry Christmas, everybody. See you around later.
Bye.
Bye-bye.